So, what do you guys think of our football program this year?
I got nothing to say. I mean, I wish it was as good as the bsmd program. Okay, my name is Nikhil.
I'm Pari.
My name is Avinash.
And I'm Yash.
I'm Josh.
I think I look like the average BSMD candidate. I'm Indian. I feel like generally a lot of people who apply to BSMD programs are of some sort of Asian descent, just because at least the way I found out about programs was through word of mouth.
I think physically and in terms of my application, more or less, I think I do look like the average BSMD candidate because I think most people do a little bit of research, do a little bit of volunteer work in non-medical and medical settings. A lot of them play sports, and most of them show commitment, and I think more or less I fit the mold of the average BSMD candidate.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think a lot of people that are in these programs had a lot of the same experiences growing up as other people. I didn't know that much about BSMD programs. My parents went to one, and they didn't really tell me that much about it. They just told me that they got into a program that they only had to go to college for 2 years, and they went straight to med school without applying, and that was pretty much all I knew about it.
Yeah, so for me, my dad was a BSMD student in New York, and that had a big influence on myself. But in my area, not a lot of people knew about them, so I think I was the only person applying to these types of programs in my graduating class, but I couldn't be happier I ended up here.
I had a little bit of a different experience. Both my sisters went to the program that I am in at Penn State, so I knew a lot about this one specifically while I was growing up, because my sisters are both 5 to 7 years older than me, so I'd learned about it for a while. And my parents are also both in the medical field, and they're very involved in academic medicine, so they're also pretty knowledgeable on BSMD programs and graduate programs for people in medical field.
I didn't know that much about BSMD programs at all. I know there's a good number of them in New Jersey that go through NJMS, but besides for that, I didn't really know that they existed outside of New Jersey. I thought they were kind of a New Jersey thing, so I was kind of surprised to find out there were more.
So my SAT score was a 1570. My math 2 subjects SAT score was an 800, and then my chem subject score, I want to say it was a 780. I don't remember exactly. And my GPA was probably 3.9 something. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. My SAT score was a 1550. I have no idea what my subject scores were on math or chem. All I know is I don't remember exactly what my scores were on the AP exam, but they were not good. Well, they were I think a 3 and a 4 maybe.
Stats.
So SAT, I got a 1560, and I'm not quite sure what I got on the subject test, but my GPA was a 4.0, and I was ranked 15 out of 800 in my class.
My SAT was, I don't think I necessarily broke 1500, so I was, I guess, in this applicant pool, or the accepted pool, a little bit on the lower end. So my ACT was 35. I felt more comfortable with the ACT. It's kind of for the more science-heavy people. My math subject score was 800, and my bio was low 7s.
Let's see. Stats, I got a 1580 on the SAT. I got an 800 on math 2 and chem, and my GPA was a 4.0.
I played 3 sports every year. I was in Science Olympiad, Math League, NHS, Student Gov, Odyssey of the Mind. I volunteered, I did research.
In high school, I ran cross country and I did track and field for a few years. I was part of my NHS at my school, and I also was part of a volunteer organization at my local library. I volunteered at a children's theater camp every summer, and I did research throughout the 4 years I was in high school, and then I did a lot of shadowing. I briefly volunteered at a hospital in my area, and I think that's it.
Let's see. Extracurriculars. I played tennis in high school. I also ran cross country. I did a little bit of student council. I was in the Red Cross Club, and I did a lot of science related clubs, like Science Olympiad and stuff like that.
I'd say that the biggest reason I got in is probably that I showed commitment in all of the extracurricular activities that I did. I think a lot of people, they just do an activity for 1 year or 6 months and they put it on their application. I don't think that's as valuable as doing something for over a period of 3 or 4 years and showing them that if you're really passionate about something, you'll really go after it and get at it. And I think commitment is a great thing to show in your application.
So I think one of the big reasons I got in is because both my parents were doctors. So I think a big thing when you are applying to these programs is that the people that are interviewing you want to make sure that you are committed to medicine and that you are going to stick with it for the next 6, 7, 8 years.
I think the biggest reason I got in is because both of my sisters went to this exact program, very close to the time that I applied. They were both still, one of them was still in medical school when I was applying. She was there for my interview process. So I feel like Penn State and Jefferson both really value legacy or just some sort of loyalty to their schools.
What do you think the biggest reason you got in was? I think it's because I bribed the admissions director.
I did research with a doctor at Penn State, Hershey, and I did research with a cardiologist in my area.
Yeah, research. I did research for 2 summers, one after my sophomore year and once after my junior year. They were both at the University of Texas.
Yeah, very nice. I also had research just for 1 summer at Penn State, actually, Penn State Hershey.
I didn't actually do any research when I was in high school, so I wasn't necessarily surprised that I got in, but at the same time, it made me realize that different schools prioritize different things when looking for BSMD candidates.
I want to say it was how it was mainly about why and how nonviolence is a central part of my life.
I started out with just a small experience from my childhood, being around some of my family members who were vets. I kind of talked about how that sparked my interest in medicine, and then I went on and talked about some of my volunteering experiences in a free clinic and some of my research experiences, and really just tied everything in together to explain why I like both the humanity aspect of medicine as well as the scientific aspect of it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I'd say mine was shockingly similar. Basically, start with the anecdote.
Yeah, of course.
Why it influenced you. Talk about medicine and really emphasizing the bedside manner.
Both my parents went here, and so I grew up in a Penn State family, following Penn State football, wearing Penn State gear from the moment I was born. I'd been to the campus before when I was younger. I visited once I was applying to colleges. I really liked it. I really liked the campus, the activities they have here, everything that State College has to offer.
Yeah, I had kind of a similar reason for choosing Penn State. Both my sisters have recently been here, so I used to visit a lot, and my town is 2 hours away from Penn State, so even at my own grocery store we sell Penn State merch and stuff like that. So Penn State was always in the back of my mind, but I think once I visited here as an applying high school student and just got to be here and got to experience the campus, even as just a guest, I was convinced that I had to go here.
Penn State really does have a place for everyone, no matter what you're into, what type of people you want to hang out with, what talents you have, outside of our program, and then it does have a space for everyone. And I could tell you about Thon, Penn State football, concerts at the BJC, and all these wonderful things that you can see online. And those are all fantastic, and they make Penn State a really wonderful place. But for me, and what makes this program so special to me, is truly like the small interactions that I've had along the way that define my experience. Because those are the things I'm going to remember years from now. That, you know, I could walk in to our dining hall and like sit with people in our program, have like an hour conversation, 2-3 hour conversation, and it'd be a great night. Or like go play football in front of Hub Lawn. All of those things are truly really important to me, and they're going to mean a lot more down the road than some paper I'm going to put on my wall.
I think one thing that, you know, surprised me when I was coming in here is that throughout all these interviews and stuff, you meet all these kids that you might, they're go-getters. They try super hard at everything. They kind of scare you when you meet them, and that's not everybody in these programs. I mean, there's people that you might find like more normal than that. So it's not gonna be like, you won't be surrounded by a bunch of people that intimidate you or anything. I think there's always like, you know, people just like you that are gonna get admitted to programs.
It's not like a 7-year competition. Like
Yeah.
you're in it together.
Yeah.
So I think whenever I tell someone I'm in a program, a lot of them are like, oh wow, it's only 3 years of undergrad, you're probably so busy, you're probably loaded with work. But I'd say it's really the opposite of this. I think because I already have that guarantee of being in med school, I don't have to spend too much time doing other things like research or volunteering experiences that I would otherwise just do to put on my application. I can actually go out and do things that I'm interested in. And I think a lot of people also think that we have to do a lot of science classes, and that's the majority of our coursework, but in reality, it's not the case at all. I've taken a lot of classes in a variety of different fields. For example, I took an astronomy class, a couple English classes, philosophy classes.
Okay. I think one thing that people don't know about BSMD programs that they should is that like the cost of BSMD programs will still vary for every single program you attend. Like here at Penn State, we're a state school, so some people pay in-state tuition, some people don't. But also Penn State isn't a school that gives out scholarships per se. And I know if you go to BSMD programs in New Jersey, they'll just throw money your way. And I know that certain other BSMD programs, like if you go to BU or Northwestern, they're not that likely to give you money either. And Penn State is one of those as well. So that's something that people see.